The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for another edition of Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio, high noon on a Tuesday, as we turn our attention to the Cowboys and the Washington Commanders this week. And after a very eventful last few days of football and obviously, we start off today's show, and we'll spend a lot of time today talking about the events of last night and our prayers, obviously, with Damar Hamlin and the Buffalo Bills and Damar's family and so forth. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. And it was an unbelievable weekend of football, and then all of a sudden on Monday night,
everything screeched to a halt.
Exactly. And it's very sobering, and everyone just has Damar Hamlin in their thoughts and prayers today.
You know, we've seen a lot of injuries in the game of football over my however many years covering it since I was in college. But I don't recall seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall seeing someone look like a normal tackle, hit, fall to the ground, get up, and then just collapse. And when I saw that, it was like, oh, this is more than a head injury, right? And that initially, it was like his head did hit the ground, and I was thinking, okay, he kind of knocked himself out.
Right.
But then when you see the ambulance rushing onto the field and the way the emergency personnel started running onto the field, you knew it was more than that. And I don't recall ever seeing anything like that. And, boy, as you said, it was very sobering and emotional, too, just thinking this is what we do for our business. We cover this stuff, right? And I immediately thought of you. Thinking, well, thank God he's with us tomorrow. Put it in perspective, because, you know, we can go on, right? But when they were sitting there going, okay, we don't know how long the delay is, I go, there is no way in hell, if I'm a player, that I'm going to go back out there and play. How could I get fired up to do something after seeing that? And, then you just listen to everybody, and Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark and Booger, and, and it was like, okay, this is resonating through all these players, and it's like, I don't know how I go to practice on Wednesday.
Man, how far do you take it, right? I mean, first of all, this is something that no one's ever seen before, as you talked about. I've made that tackle many times. The guy just kind of, it seems like, when you're going lateral, you don't quite have that, a stance to go forward, and the running back just kind of beat him to the punch. That was it. The guy kind of lowered his head. It wasn't as if it was a penalty, but, he was the more aggressive person on that play. And the guy just kind of looked like he got hit in the chin area. And, dude, I've got hit like that I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
I mean, an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, they get hit like that every play. So here it is. This guy gets up and goes down, and then they say, what's the protocol? Hell, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what the protocol is?
There ain't no handbook for it.
It is. There isn't. So, what do you do? Now we got to sit here and wait, and you got people worried about their fantasy teams. It's crazy. Worried about gambling, of course, and what their ticket's going to be and all of that. And here it is. This guy, the reaction is weird on one hand, to where, people are worried about selfishness. And then on the other hand, his charity rose up $3.7 million.
Is that what it's up to now?
Yes.
Wow, it's over 4 now.
Wow.
Last time I checked.
So human society, man. This is the way it goes. Capitalistic society. Some people are going to be more empathetic, and some are just going to be still. The bottom line is what matters. And this is what I was thinking about last night. if we were back in the 80s, how would we treat this? How would we treat this? I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be nearly as empathetic now the way then the way we are now, because the world was different. Nobody cared. Yeah, it's football, and it's just the way it is. The union wasn't as strong. The players wasn't making enough money, so the care for those players now is greater. Back then, who knows what would have happened if someone got hurt like that? Would they be as diligent? You know, would we be talking about something like this? I don't know if anyone's ever almost died on the field before.
Well, Chuck Hughes, which was a Detroit Lions player in 1971, the Lions were playing the Chicago Bears at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Late in the fourth quarter, Hughes entered the game as an injury replacement, caught a pass from Greg Landry for 32 yards and a first down. 3 plays later, I got to run through it here. Hughes, 3 plays later, Hughes was running back to the huddle with a minute left in the game, suddenly dropped to the turf, clutching his chest. He suffered a heart attack and died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was a minute left in a game.
Wow.
It was played in October of 1971 in Detroit. Obviously, as you point out, I mean, it's the landscape from as far as social media and everything.
And humanity.
Right.
50 years, we're 50 years removed.
It's different now than what it was then. But then, you know,
it was.
Hank Gathers is another one. Basketball,
right?
You know, Royal Marymount.
Of course.
Well, you know what it reminded me of, and this was only a couple years ago, with the Dallas Stars. Rich Peverly collapsed on the bench, and they had to take him off the bench into the walkway to the locker room and perform CPR, and I think they did the shock treatment on him. And I just found out that, fortunate for him, that they had a visiting physician there who was a heart specialist.
Wow.
Right? Just happened to be there with the other physician as a guest, and he was able to, help out with his expertise. But with this, before we knew, that it was cardiac arrest, and and the severity of that, it was like, well, what happened?
Pre-existing condition?
And see, and you think that, and I this morning, ESPN, the morning show, had a guest cardiologist. They did an interview with a lady from, she was a heart specialist from Columbia University. And she was saying that it's a small percentage that between heartbeats that you get some sort of traumatic hit and it causes your heart to stop.
So the timing had to be
just like 1 in a million. And she's saying, I don't know, but I know this can happen from a traumatic injury.
So it doesn't matter. It didn't matter where he got hit.
Right. It wasn't like he got hit in the heart. It was just a traumatic hit, and then his head hit. And she said, and the key thing from just watching from afar was how fast the emergency personnel got there, because when your heart stops, you're not getting oxygen to your brain.
That was a big thing with Mike Leach when he suffered his heart attack, and he was apparently alone, and so they didn't get help to him soon enough.
And she said, the longer that lapse, the more after effects you will have.
Yeah.
You'll start having organ problems or whatever else. And she said that when she saw I don't know if she said she saw it, but you got the emergency vehicle on the field and start giving them oxygen right away. That helps minimize the after effect. But she didn't have any knowledge of pre-existing conditions or anything like that, and we still haven't heard anything. And the thing that, I mean, it was just eerie because, I mean, you knew they couldn't play. right? You can't go out
Right.
there and play, regardless of what the ramifications are.
And regardless of the team.
Yeah.
Someone was saying on the way in, well, if he wasn't a teammate. Well, if you view that, if you sit up there and watch somebody die and then you bring them back, if I view that, I don't care what team I'm on.
Right.
I'm going to be traumatized. I'm not playing anymore. I remember we were playing against the Rams, I think in the 80s. We were in Anaheim. And like 3 people in a short succession all of a sudden they blew their knees out, Timmy Newsom being one of them. And I remember sitting up there like, man, this is getting kind of scary. Just from knees being blown out.
Right.
I was like, whoa, what? It was very weird that you had like 2 or 3 of them in a short span in one game. That made me nervous. So you could imagine if I'm sitting up here looking at somebody, teammate or not, and they pull out the things and all that, and you bring them back to life, there's no way. I don't care who, teammate or not, I ain't going back.
No, even if they told you to go back, right? No, I'm not going back. That's why I don't even know why there was a debate. Like, are we going to, it's suspended, postponed? No, you can't play. I'm thinking, like, who's going to practice on Wednesday, and how are they going to feel around the league, not just those teams?
The only way that they could have resumed playing is if they got immediate good news that he's fine.
Right.
Yeah. Then,
And there was no
and even with
thumbs
that,
up.
you're right. And even with that, it would be tough to.
It would be tough, especially if
even
like
if
I said,
he heard that he's doing great. You know.
And
So.
and then the other part of it was just the pressure on the announcers.
Yeah.
Joe and Troy, and then they go back to the studio. These people are trained to cover football. They're not like news reporters that are, probably immune to tragedy because that's what they cover, right? And now you got to talk about this, and you're going to get emotional, right?
When Troy said, you know how it is, just another injury, guys on the ground. I think I was cooking some food. My daughter was coming in. I was getting her some New Year's Day food. You know how you got to have the greens and all that stuff. So I was doing that. And then they said, when Troy said CPR, I stopped. Like, what? Wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
He said for several moments. And that they're like, oh, Lord. That's when I sat down like, oh, man, what's going on here? This is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear the word CPR, the letter CPR, that is not good.
And, and those guys weren't getting any information, basically, and you couldn't see because they circled the players all the way around.
Well, you can't get information. The doctor's not going to give you information at that time. I got work to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to get into the protocol of something like that. What do you do? I mean, I
can't remember, where did it come out that the teams are going to warm up for 5 minutes?
And I heard that whoever sent that information was wrong.
Right.
The NFL is saying no, we never said that. But I know it's like
I can't remember if it was.
They go in for 5 minutes and then they come back out and warm up a little bit. Well, that was the coaches talking. I believe that was the coaches talking because they made that decision after the coaches came face to face with the referees. That's when I saw.
But you knew it was going to come down from New York, right? And the NFLPA, and then I think both coaches were.
Guys are still out there crying.
We're not.
There's no way.
We can't do this. But then they act like they gave Joe and Troy a break by going to the studio, but then they're even further removed from it. And what can you say?
And they keep coming back to him.
Yeah,
and coming back to him.
And you could see the emotion on Booger's face.
Right,
he was having a hard time. And it's like, gosh, what do you say? And then
Schefter himself, he was.
And then they went to the sideline. Help me, Bill. Their sideline. Lisa.
Yes.
And she was struggling, but you know what? She came back towards the end and just nailed it. Right? She got herself composed. But again, she's not used to doing that. Right?
She shouldn't have to do that.
And you know how emotional you're going to be, right? I remember during the Uvalde thing, and I don't remember what station I was watching, and they threw it to a very young reporter,
I saw that. Yeah.
And she broke down crying, right? And it's like, well, it's not fair. She's not conditioned to do this, right? She fought through it, right?
Nate just brought up Darryl Stingley.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Right.
And so you look at the difference there's a difference right there. Darryl Stingley's paralyzed. The game went on.
Yeah.
The game went on.
Yeah, it did.
The game went on, you know. And so, wow, that just lets you know how far we've come. So, you know.
I remember when, so this would have been 2009, when the roof collapsed on the practice facility. Mm-hmm. We were all in there. We escaped. And about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes later, 15 at the most, the fan had just taken over as the Cowboys flagship station. And I got a call from one of the guys there I knew, and they said, "Can you go on the air?" And I was like, "You know what? You're going to have to give me some time."
Yeah,
I said, "You don't want me coming on here crying, right?" And your adrenaline, you need some time. But those guys, they didn't have time. They had to react and, keep the thing on the air for all that time. And I know they went to commercial break, but it wasn't. They just didn't have anything to say.
Let's just look at the NFL itself. The NFL is made up, and especially the coaches, of hardened men. You think about Tom Landry. This man flew in the war.
Yeah.
And people fought in the war. They've seen death. I would imagine some of them actually saw some action, and they've seen people sacrifice this and sacrifice. So when they play football and they try to keep saying it's a game compared to war, right? That's how we become so hardened in the NFL. Just got to keep on moving forward. Football is football. It's a tough man's game. That's the foundation of the NFL itself. Men have seen a lot of things. Yeah. So when you see someone get hit on the practice field or the football field, we used to get somebody get injured. Man, we moved the practice up.
No, you would. You would.
You just move it up. Nobody. I don't care how dangerous.
I can remember in training camp, it's like somebody's laying out in Austin, and it's like, okay, move up 10 yards,
move
15
up 10 yards, and let them take care of him back here. Right?
Yeah, right.
So
we ain't got time.
So that's kind of that's the basis of the NFL. So I'm glad to see that we are not there anymore because, I'm glad Nate brought up Darryl Stingley because there were moments in the NFL where, hey, just get him off the field. Let's keep on playing. Yeah. So let's just think about Darryl Stingley and Darryl Stingley Jr. at this point, what he might be thinking right now.
I don't know if you want me to do this now, Bill. The last thing I saw was the family sent out a statement, and I'll go ahead and read it here. It's a little bit long, but on behalf of our family, we want to express our sincere gratitude for the love and support shown to Damar during this challenging time. We are deeply moved by the prayers, the kind words, and donation from fans around the country. We also want to acknowledge the dedicated first responders and healthcare professionals at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center who have provided exceptional care to Damar. We feel so blessed to be part of the Buffalo Bills organization and have their support. We also want to thank Coach Taylor and the Bengals for everything they've done. Your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. Please keep Damar in your prayers. We will release updates as soon as we have them. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you're the mother sitting in the stands.
Mm-hmm. No, that didn't happen. That's great. Thank God she was there.
You go back through his Twitter, and this is a game from earlier in the season. There's a video of him before the game going up to his mom and family in the stands. And so I think the family was able to go to a lot of the game. I don't know if that was a home game or not, but this one, obviously, it was on the road. And so it was like he had hashtag family or something,
right.
And he was, I recall, too, just when he came out of the draft in 2021, he caught my eye as much for what kind of high character kid he was.
He was a team captain.
Yeah, at Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, yeah. And, that's what I look for in that big green notebook are the high character guys. And Damar Hamlin. As soon as I heard it was Damar Hamlin, I said, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And then you go back through, the charity stuff that he's done, even going back to his time in college. Before NIL was around, really, in college, he was doing that stuff, And so anyway, obviously he is in our thoughts and prayers. Again, overnight the Bills did confirm that it was a cardiac arrest that he suffered on the field. And so just praying for for
a great outcome.
Yeah, great outcome and full recovery for Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, we finally got it was late on Twitter that Jordan Rooney, who's a representative from his agency, basically sent out an update and said his vitals are back to normal. They have put him to sleep to put a breathing tube down his throat. They are currently running tests. We'll provide updates as we have them. So when I saw that, it was like, oh, boy. Mm-hmm. The vitals are good, but, yeah. And basically that cardiologist pointed out that the key thing is just to keep oxygen flowing into his body, because even though you might be breathing on your own, you may not be breathing as well as you need to.
You don't want any more stress on your organs.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's take a break, and there's some Cowboys things we need to get to when we come back here on Mick Shots in just a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, capepostcompany.com.
All right. You got lots of stuff on your legal pad over there, Mickey.
Yeah, I do. Seems insignificant, but I do have it. So,
well, while you're finding that,
let's go ahead.
Going back to the NFL on Sunday, okay, what happened was for the Cowboys was an Eagles loss to the Saints. What didn't come through for the Cowboys on Sunday were those Las Vegas Raiders.
That's true.
They tried.
I'm sitting there,
Sure did.
and the game wasn't televised here, and so I saw that it was going to overtime, and so I got on my NFL app, and I'm listening to the game, and it was a Dallas kid, Tayshaun Gibson, out of Kimball High School in Dallas, who got the pick for the 49ers and ran it back inside the 10-yard line, and they kicked the field goal.
They got the field goal.
And they got the field goal to win the game. But had the Raiders pulled off that win, we'd be sitting here at all the Cowboys would need to not only win the division, obviously, would be the Cowboys winning this week in Washington and Philadelphia losing, but getting a not only home field advantage in the playoffs, but a first-round bye in the playoffs by those two things happening. Cowboys winning at Washington, Philadelphia losing to the Giants. Still a long shot on Philadelphia losing to the Giants, but
if the Giants decide to play,
and that's the other thing that went bad for the Cowboys is that the Giants clinched the playoff spot.
Yes, that's
so they got nothing to play for.
So what do you think? What do you
but
think
Daboll said we're playing to win. But
now there still is a chance. There still is a chance the Cowboys could get the first round bye if they win. The Eagles lose.
And
no, there's no chance. Arizona would have to beat or tie San Francisco.
Go to San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
And that's by the way, a 4-12 Cardinals team.
Yes.
And they're
about their fourth quarterback.
By the way, it's David. Do you say Blow?
Or
Blau. David Blau from Carrollton Creekview.
That's right.
By the way, and the only reason I know him because Missouri played him his senior year at Purdue, and I was asking Anthony Brown. I said, "So, what's Purdue got?" And he goes, they're not bad, but they're starting a quarterback that's never started before. I don't know how good he is, right?" Well, he put 500 yards passing on Missouri. Missouri won the game, but the kid threw for 500 yards. So
there's still a shot.
I always remembered his name, right? As a matter of fact, the next week I went up to Anthony and I said, you're a pretty good player, but you got no future as a scout. Right. And he started laughing because he knew what I meant. But yeah, he's going to start his second game, and he's just been there a couple of weeks.
That's right. They've tied him off a practice.
So you guys are telling me you're afraid to go down that forbidden path?
That Arizona could go there and win?
No. I mean the fact that we go on the road and just kick everybody's ass on the way up.
No. I was just
afraid of that?
But it's better to have.
Of course,
it's the first round bye.
It's exciting, man. Come on.
And as Jerry said this morning, you always want to play at home because they were giving them
especially if you own the team.
They were giving them, right.
He wasn't speaking as a player necessarily, but you could block.
They were giving them the choice on the two propositions, right? You're the top wild card team, so you got to go on the road and play Tom Brady, or you're the number 2 seed and you play at home, but chances are you're probably going to play Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Hey,
which do you want?
What do you want? Bring it on, baby.
Jerry
Bring
said,
it on.
Play it at home.
Bring it on, baby.
Because if you win the first one, you're still at home for the second game too.
Yeah.
I want to see something great. I want to see something generational. That's what I want to see.
That's what you were looking for.
That's what I want to see. Because this team has been, like Nate said, you've got the coach in there answering questions, and you just blew a team out by 3 touchdowns. And yet you got to sit here at the press conference and answer all these questions about what is wrong with your team. I would love for us to just keep on going with all odds against us. Go to Tampa, go to Green Bay. I don't care where it is, and just shut that up, right? That, to me, that would reverse all the narrative that the Cowboys are facing right now.
So you want the Cowboys to
go the hard way.
Go to Tampa Bay, beat Tom Brady.
That's first.
Okay.
That's first.
Then go to Philadelphia and beat who might be the MVP.
That's
we'll see.
2.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
And then go to San Francisco and beat Mr. Irrelevant.
Oh, yes. I'd love that. I would love that. I wish we could sprinkle Green Bay in there somewhere. Play 4 games. I don't care.
And then get who in the Super Bowl?
We got to have Joe because Joe is the guy that has the most resiliency. I'm talking Burrow.
Okay. Joe Montana.
No. Hey, let's not go there. No, let's not go there.
So Burrow. Okay. That's
come on, man.
That's your dream scenario.
That's
Cowboys.
my dream. That's my Manning
well,
scenario.
Okay. Well, we could do it a different way. Let's say the Packers stay hot. Okay. And then so Aaron,
they win next week, of course. This week
beat Brady, Hurts, Rodgers.
I love that.
But except
and Burrow.
After watching Green Bay play Minnesota, they've got some sprinkled dust on them.
That's right.
Because I wrote this down, 132 left in the first quarter. The Packers were up 14-3 with no offensive touchdowns and 14 total yards. They returned a kickoff for a touchdown and an interception for a touchdown. 14 total yards. And then Minnesota is trying to kick a field goal, and their kicker, Joseph, who had made 13 consecutive field goals, he misses.
And then to end the first half.
And then
to end the first half,
yes.
Mason Crosby, who we've seen before, connect from 56 yards in a playoff game.
There he goes.
He kicks a 56-yard field goal that doesn't clear the crossbar.
It
hits on top of the crossbar. If it is 1 centimeter this way, it bounces back or towards the field of play. Instead, it just bounced on through.
Where was that game played?
Green Bay.
So you're telling me that this man can kick a 56-yard field goal.
Longest of the season.
But we can't kick one when we were there in Green Bay. All the excuses about, my leg is freezing. Come on, man.
No, his foot was.
My foot. He putting the foot in front of the fire and all that kind of stuff.
But check
Come
this
on,
out.
man. Don't ever.
No, wait.
Come on now. Don't ever let that narrative. Don't let the tail wag the dog.
Not only did the ball hit the crossbar, it bounced so well, it bounced into the net.
Yeah.
Into the net. That meant it bounced another 10 yards.
That means we could have kicked it as well. We had the best kicker in the league, and we didn't go for it. That still chaps my butt, as Stallings would always say.
But anyway,
we could have kicked it.
That's Green Bay, and again, this is what I wrote about yesterday: the improbability of the NFL this season. Who thought the Packers at 4-8 would be sitting there at 8-8 and need one win to get in the playoffs? Or Detroit, 4-7, needing one win and a Seattle loss to get in the playoffs. All this weird. We sat there and go, well, what's the chances after they lost to the Jaguars that the Cowboys win 3 straight and the Eagles lose 3 straight? Well,
here we are. Close.
And they're not sure Jalen Hurts is going to play on Sunday.
I thought they were pretty positive about that.
Well, perhaps factoring into that, they want to see who the Giants are playing.
Well,
since the Giants don't have to win this game,
right?
That might factor.
But
into
let's
the
remember
too.
the Giants' history in 2007. When they played the meaningless game because they were the wild card team in New England and nearly beat the Patriots and got all this confidence, and they went in and won the first round, and what happened? They came here and beat the Cowboys.
I think
and went on to win the Super Bowl, right?
That's the path
and
talking about.
They decided they were going to play that last game of the year because they wanted momentum, and they lost the game, but they gained some confidence.
And they wound up winning the Super Bowl.
So,
all right, here's an update from the NFL on the Bills-Bengals game. NFL continues to be in regular contact with the medical team caring for Damar Hamlin and also the Bills and Bengals organizations and the NFL Players Association. After speaking with both teams and NFLPA leadership, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell informed the clubs today that the Bills-Bengals game will not be resumed this week. The NFL has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date. The league has not made any changes to the Week 18 regular season schedule. We will continue to provide additional information as it becomes available.
So they can still play next week.
Maybe play Monday night?
They're playing on Sunday.
Yeah, they still play Sunday.
They're not changing your Week 18 schedule.
There's still one game
that's right.
left.
I was thinking this was the last game. Yeah, that's right.
Where is that game?
It was in Cincinnati.
Well, that game was in Cincinnati. I have to look up where they're playing this week.
No big deal. I was just,
Don't you just cancel the game and just go by winning percentage?
That's what they talk about.
Yes, that's what you do.
Right.
I don't understand why we're.
You can't put in.
I mean, because you don't.
Are you going to resume the game 7-3? This ain't baseball.
And that's the only thing they can compare it to.
Right.
That's it. That's all they can compare it to. This baseball.
I mean, and if you're going to resume it next week, the earliest you could do that would be like Thursday, and then you push back the next
Monday.
Playoff game till Monday or. Then you're playing. But then whoever
Thursday, Sunday.
whoever one of those teams is playing in the playoffs, one of them may get the first round bye and not have a game. The other one, they'd be on a short week playing their playoff game, their wild card game. You can't do that.
Yeah, I think you just.
You just don't worry about it. Just it's a non-game.
Right.
Okay, they play 16-game schedule. Everybody else plays 17. That's fine. We can handle this.
And I dare anyone to complain. Right. Well, that's not fair.
Right.
Go ahead, try that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Bengals host the Ravens on Sunday, and the Bills host the Patriots on Sunday.
And the Bills have not clinched the number one seed, right?
Right. That's what's at stake here. Kansas City is 13-3. The Bills are 12-3, and the Bengals are 11-4. So it's seeding. It's not only first round bye, but if the Bengals were to beat the Bills, they could overtake them for the 2 seed rather than the 3 seed. Right. So anyway, forget it. Don't worry about it.
It's life.
Just okay. We'll continue.
So we've
reached that decision.
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go with more Mick shots in just a moment.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey. Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more. Back to Mick Shots.
Dak Prescott is this year's Cowboys nominee for the 2022 Walter Payton Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide, recognizing NFL players for outstanding community service off the field and excellence on the field. Help Dak earn a $25,000 donation to his Faith Fight Finish Foundation by voting on Twitter. Tweet or retweet hashtag WPMOY Challenge. Followed by Dak Prescott through January 8th. Vote Dak.
Mm-hmm. I do think that last Friday we all hit on our picks to click.
On Friday?
Yes. On Friday. At the end of the show on Friday.
For Sunday?
We picked
that's right.
The college football semifinal games. And we hit on both of them. We all were in agreement. TCU would be playing Georgia in the national championship game, and sure enough,
we finally got one right.
What games those were.
And boy, did we slam that, right? What did we win? Each by 1 point?
Yeah, really. It was total. Actually, TCU won by 6. 51-45.
Right. Sorry.
Might as well have been one.
They said the first time they've been decided by one score. The 2 semifinal games.
Yeah, I believe that.
By one score.
Yeah.
Excitement.
And then yesterday at the stadium, Tulane USC.
How about that?
What a game that was.
Crazy.
Tulane comes from 15 points down in the final minutes of the game to win 46-45.
I didn't know we would talk about this, but to me, the dumbest play of the game.
I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Would you tell me?
Right on the goal line.
Thank you.
In the end zone.
Yes.
Why would you hand off 4 yards deep in the end zone?
Twice.
Yeah.
You did it twice.
Uh-huh.
And you have a Heisman Trophy winner right back here.
Mm-hmm.
This is my moment.
Yeah. And Tulane was trailing by 8 points at that point in the game.
That's true.
That was with 3:20 left in the game. The only way Tulane can win that football game is if they get a safety there, cuts the lead to 6, and then
7.
And then they score a touchdown, 7 points. Because there's no way Tulane's offense, even against that bad defense, they didn't not enough time.
Jerry Rice's son got off in the game, but they had another guy over there in that green, looked like Mississippi Valley colors. That kid looked like Jerry Rice's son, number 2. Yeah, he looked like Jerry Rice's son.
But there's no way Tulane was going to be able, even if SC punts out of their own end zone, they cannot go down there. They can score a touchdown, but then they'd have to get a 2-point conversion, and that just gets you to overtime. They'd have to win it in overtime. As it was, you give them a safety.
First of all, the guy fumbles the ball. Fumbles the kickoff.
Was that
right?
Your
Right.
favorite coach with the play call?
Yeah, and see, this guy's a genius.
Yeah.
And how do you not make? Why would you give the ball?
What?
You brought the ball to the.
Here's
basically,
what happens.
You brought the ball to
Here's
the
what
Tulane
happens
defense.
these days is they don't practice the quarterback under center enough. And
that was a shotgun, wasn't it?
It was a shotgun.
That's what I'm saying, because he didn't go under center.
Right, that's what he said.
I mean, what happened in the...
But I wouldn't even run the ball.
Just roll him out.
Run the ball. Thank you.
Yeah.
He is a Heisman Trophy
quarterback
winner.
sneak.
They haven't stopped him all game long.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I mean, he was on the roll. They were just singing his praises. This guy, 5 o'clock in the morning when he was 11 years old, he'd been a personal trainer, all this going on, and now he got the Heisman. Now he's about to win this game. No, he's not.
It looked like a zone read or an RPO, and he was reading the defensive end and decided to hand off or something. I don't know.
Too complicated.
If he would have taken it himself, it still would not have worked.
Right.
They were going to sack him.
He needed to take it, roll out, and throw it downfield.
Once again, Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Not as a runner, not Tebow Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, this guy's prolific. And you can sit up there and hand the ball off to him, to the running back. That was bad. The coach lost that game. I was watching with my son.
Yep.
The coach lost that game.
I am just so glad that it qualifies my opinion that they should have had a 12, 16-team playoff years ago. Because you never know when you play the game what's going to happen.
And by the way, it should be a 16-team playoff.
Why not?
Yeah.
When is that coming again?
In 2 years, it's a 12-team playoff. Okay. So 4 teams get a first-round bye. Well, if you watch enough of these bowl games, everybody's got players. There are players all over the lot, and so it's not like it was 20 years ago.
Even backup players.
You've got Cinderellas. I mean, who expected TCU to make it all the way? But you go look at
ranked at the beginning of the season.
But and I've now been studying TCU's roster. You look at their roster, and I understand why they're in the national championship game.
Absolutely.
That quarterback was recruited by. It came down to TCU in Georgia.
And you mentioned 4 teams get a bye, right? Well, Tulane's not going to get a bye, right? So the big schools are going to get the bye.
Well, USC, if they beat Utah, they're in the playoff, and they just lost to Tulane.
Right.
Okay.
So there's
enough evidence right there to tell you that there shouldn't be any first-round buys in this 12-team playoff. It needs to be a 16-team playoff. Plus, then all those Group of 5 leagues. Okay, the champion of those leagues, and there's only 10 conferences all told. There's 5 Group of 5 leagues, and then there's 5 others. Okay, the champion goes, and so when any Division I college football player starts practice in August, they know we have a chance to play for the national championship because if we win our conference, then we're in the tournament.
See, and I think those schools, they were worried that if it's 16 teams, then people will transfer and go to these smaller schools and make them smaller schools better because nobody's going to sit and wait to play. They want to play right now.
Yeah, the other thing with the 16 team is you'd have 10 league champions that qualify and 6 at large.
Yeah,
so everybody's taken care of.
Everybody won't have to wait so long to play the national championship.
Right.
They won't be sitting out a month or whatever.
Right.
Waiting to play the
game. You just start it right when the regular season ends.
Let's continue.
And then take a little break for the holidays, and then you pick it up again with January 1st and the championship game a week later.
Hey, a couple Cowboy notes before we leave. Just Tony Pollard is scheduled to practice on Wednesday. The Cowboys are going to start Matt Forniak's 21-day ramp-up off injured reserve on Wednesday, so they expect him to start practicing.
Need that at center.
Yeah.
That depth at center.
My take on Tyler Biadasz is probably, we mentioned it's a high ankle sprain. I said it wasn't as severe as normal. Probably not until the playoffs, if he gets back in time for that. Leighton Vander Esch said he feels really well now, much better, and probably the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not playing.
No, he's not playing. And
anything on Hankins?
I don't think anybody asked about him, but that was an original since they put him on IR.
Oh, that's right.
That would be the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
This would be the fourth game. And I had one more. It was the Eagles suffered a serious injury. Lane
Johnson. Offensive lineman.
Right.
Yes.
And it sounds like it's an abductor injury.
Okay.
So they paid the price for their backup in there. So we'll see. It could be season ending, or he's going to have to play through something that's pretty painful.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first time all year they've had to deal with an injury on their offensive line.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It evens the score.
Welcome to the club.
That's right. That's right.
One last one. Charles Haley. He gave Tyler Smith a autographed 94 jersey framed for Christmas.
That's what he gave him?
He was sitting in the locker. And one to Jason Peters, too, by the way.
Why?
Because, I don't know, he was congratulating him on the season. He wrote on the 94 a little message to each one of them.
It's not bad.
And
that's got to have some value.
I mean, it's as big as that star
it's beautiful.
behind us. Yeah. So
that's
anyway,
crazy.
Charles Haley.
That's cool.
He's getting soft.
He never did that for me. This guy.
He
is getting soft, I'll tell you that.
All right. So that does it for a Tuesday edition of Mix Shots. And team is back at it on Wednesday, a regular work week. And we will be back to shout at you again Wednesday at noon on Mix Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!